What up, everybody? I'm Jack Slater, aka the Comic Outlaw. Yeah, I'm back. And as you can take a guess by the guest Funkos that are right here, right now, we're gonna be doing something with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, and in case you've been living under a rock since the '80s and you don't know what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is, oh my God, they've had movies, and I mean movies, cartoon series, buku toys, merchandising. They are easily one of the biggest toy runs of the '80s. Now, when people think '80s, they think G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man. And yes, all those given their rightful due. Transformers has lived on. G.I. Joe has had a life after this. Movies and such. But you have to give the Turtles their dominating due. I mean, the Turtles was a mass marketing ploy. I mean, like, they had so many figures, so many toys, so many video games. And He-Man only lasted 2 seasons. The original run of the Turtles lasted 10. 10. Granted, the quality went down the toilet a little bit, but 10 seasons. Based on a comic book that these guys did as a joke to entertain each other. Don't know what I'm talking about? Well, let me get into it. Now, Eastman and Lard, the creators, they just kind of sketched this out to kind of just entertain themselves. And yes, there is a connection with Daredevil. They claim that the tank that hit Daredevil's eyes is the mutagen that gave them their powers. So there's a Marvel connection, or the supposed Marvel connection. Now, these turtles, of course, are Raphael, the muscle, the man with the size, a little bit of a temper, the ever fun-loving pizza munching Mikey, Michelangelo, a Chuck fan, nunchucks, Leonardo, the leader of the group, katanas, and last but certainly not least, Donatello, the brains, and also Bowstaff. And yes, they were also raised by a rat named Splinter. And they have an arch enemy named Shredder. And if this is new news to you, it's like, wow. Wow. I mean, you should know a little bit about this. I mean, damn. But I found this little gem for a very reasonable price. Check this out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this is a 5 set right here. 5 movies. Now, granted, it doesn't have the new Blockheimer movies, which I want to get into in a minute, but this has the original movies. It has, of course, Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 1, Part 2, Secret of the Ooze, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, which didn't even have a side name because that movie was horrible, and TMNT, which is based off the Nickelodeon series, which I love, an absolute favorite, and Batman in the Ninja Turtles, which I did cover a long time ago, but that was when I was first starting out in this thing, and I don't know, it's just kind of the sound quality kind of, but it's a very good comic. Now, the original movies. Now, they were done by Jim Henson's people. Jim Henson had passed away after doing the whole Splinter thing. So Splinter was actually the last puppet that he worked on before he passed away. Now, you guys, for those of you that don't know who Jim Henson is, I feel sorry for you. That's all I gotta say about that. You guys got your phones. Google that shit. Or do whatever it is you do. Go to duck.com or whatever the hell it is and look it up. He invented Kermit the Frog, Sesame Street, all that shit. Now, I cannot describe when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out in the '80s, the movie, how many kids wanted to see it. I mean, the cartoon series blew up. Okay, now, before you guys start, I'm going to explain this. The comics were more serious. The comics were a lot more serious. Yeah, they kind of killed Shredder in the first few issues. I mean, because they didn't think it was going to actually go anywhere. I mean, they were on a mission of vengeance from Splinter. Splinter was a little more darker. I mean, this world was a lot darker in the original run, and then it lightened up a little bit. Archie Comics kind of started working with the Turtle brand, and it was actually a really good comic run. I actually had a lot of those. Very entertaining. They travel around in a cow. It's head that teleports from place. Yes, I'm serious. It gets weird. Oh my god, that run was so wacky and so crazy. It was incredible. And the cartoon series, of course, it did have the father from Fresh Prince of Bel Air. He was actually the voice of Shredder, and he did make an appearance before he passed away in the Nickelodeon version of the cartoon. Now the cartoon was very simple. I mean, it was in the '80s. There were certain animation problems, and of course the story. They were making it for kids, so they can only slice robots and this and that. But it was very entertaining for what it was. Had a lot of toys, and they would always put. And the interesting thing about this is they would actually put the villains in, even if they had just a little appearance or something of the heroes. So they would get a little screen time, so you actually kind of knew who they were. I think they did a better job with that than He-Man and a few of the other ones, like Transformers. Because Transformers, they kind of shoved people, they kind of shoved members in here and there. It was more organic with the Turtles, I thought. Plus their machines, their vehicles, the blimp they had a piece of shit. They had a badass turtle van. Oh my god, I still would love to drive that thing to this day. Yes, but the original Turtle movie, it was a little dark for kids. It had a real story to it. It's for those who haven't seen it and have always seen the Blockheimer movies, which I will get to in a minute. I have pluses and minuses about that whole thing. The original movie took the best of the comic book and the animated series and combined it together. And yes, there are certain scenes that are a little dark, but there are scenes in E.T. that are a little dark. You know what I mean? You can't have dark without light, but it doesn't really go over the edge. There's nobody bleeding out or anything like that, you know. And it has a heart. It's about four brothers, you know. It's really worth watching. I mean, it is the quintessential Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. It is a time capsule movie. If you only seen the newer stuff, I recommend seeing that. Or the newer cartoon where they change the weapons out, which sucks. I'm going to state that right now. I didn't like that. But moving on. Of course, they made Secret of the Ooze. And a very notable thing about that people love talking about is the Vanilla Ice and he sings that go ninja, go. This movie's a little more lighthearted. They made it for children, but it was still very entertaining. Still very good. And an interesting side note for you WCW, NWO, WWE fans. Kevin Nash was actually played the part of Super Shredder. Yes, Super Shredder gets buff, or Shredder gets buff and almighty in that movie and screws it up. Kevin Nash is actually the dude that plays Super Shredder. So how about that? The Wolfpack baby representing the Ninja Turtles. Who for life. Now when part 3 came along, they were running out of money. They pretty much hit their stride with the Turtles. The Turtles even had a rock band at this point. I'm serious. They were so big in the early 90s. They actually had a rock band where they would sing songs and they would do a tour. Like, these guys would dress up like the Turtles and they would sing and go from place to place. And they were even on Oprah. If you don't believe me, look it up. I swear to you, there's an episode of Oprah where the Turtles guest starred on it. That's how big they were. They were on Oprah. I swear to you, I remember being a little kid and watching. The only time I ever wanted to watch Oprah when I was like this big, because the Turtles guest starred on it. Yeah, they were that huge. I'm trying to put this into perspective so you know what I'm talking about. But by part 3, they had really waned, and the effects got real crappy. They didn't have the puppetry guys to lean on anymore. It just got really bad. They tried doing another thing with a girl turtle. It didn't work out. It was really horrible. At that point, the costumes had just gotten so bad, and the train had pretty much ran its course. Things are cyclical. Yeah, I said that right. In the business, I mean, GI Joe was big for a while, it disappeared, became little figures, became huge. So He-Man is making a comeback through Netflix and other such devices. Now, a TV station called Nickelodeon, who's made some wonderful cartoons like Avatar: The Last Airbender, or sponsored some, decides to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. This ran for 5 seasons. Some say 4, but it's 5 because they cut some out due to other things and politics, but 5 seasons. And it is, I swear to you, one of the best things I've ever seen, bar none. It took the comic, it took everything and just mixed it all together. It was, bar none, one of the best shows I've ever seen. I love what they did with all the characters. They did change a few things here and there, but the changes were well worth it, and it just totally made the movie. Now, that cartoon is like the quintessential. That for me, I love the series, I love the movies, but that is probably my favorite. And that is where this other movie, this TMNT, comes from. It's in the middle part of this cartoon series that's going on. Pretty good. Effects are awesome. It's worth watching. So you can see what I mean by the phenomenon has been around for a long, long time. And of course, they have Batman in the Ninja Turtles. And I'm going to say now they cut a fair amount. They cut like 3 issues, I'd say, like altogether out of the whole thing, which gave it some pluses and gave it some minuses. I'll leave it up to you to decide. It's still very enjoyable. I liked it. It was worth the price that I paid. And now I'm going to talk about and get the elephant out of the room, the Blockheimer movies. And I had issues with them. It was good. Part 1 was decent. Part 2 I felt was better. It's Blockheimer. He puts his own spin on things. I didn't mind the way the Turtles looked. I mean, they needed a redo anyway, so sort of made sense. Yeah, I love all the voices. I love the voice for Raphael. They had to get a Wahlberg for that, so up to that. Big up to that. So, like I said, love. The movies were actually really good. I mean, well, it had its moments, but it was still very enjoyable, I thought. I felt part 2 was a little clunky. It could have had more storyline in it. This felt like they were trying to shove too much in. It should have been a part 2 and a part 3. It would have made a lot more sense. But other than that, it was still a very enjoyable movie. Another WWE, WCW wrestling fact, that Sheamus actually plays Rocksteady, the Rhino, in that, which is awesome because I had his action figure. And he was a real pain in the ass to beat in the video games. Yes, and the Turtles have numerous video games. I mean, when these guys went big, they went big. How many video games did He-Man have? G.I. Joe, Transformers. You could take probably all 3 of those guys' games that they made, and the Turtles will probably still beat them out. There were so many games and stuff like that. Now, about the Turtles. I like how each character is like their own individual. It's really nice. It's really cool. The brothers thing really works out well. They had this Last Ronin Turtle series that was really good. I'd recommend that. I recommend just reading the comics. You get a rough idea about the Turtles. There's always a new series going on here and there. Now, I recommend personally, if you feel that you're an adult and you don't want to see something campy or silly, you're not in a campy mood, I'd watch the Nickelodeon version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's the best of all the worlds. The story with Shredder is kind of but it all kind of falls into place. I mean, the overall series is really good. The introduction of new characters, the mix of old characters, and there's still light and dark in it. Very awesome. The Turtles franchise has been up and running. It's continued running. It's made millions of dollars and millions of kids happy over the years. And now it's parents and children at the pizza place going, "Cowabunga, dude." That's how long the Turtles have been around. So I suggest watching this, you know, if you want something different besides the Brockheimer movies. You want to see something very good, a little old, but very good. Just because something's old don't mean that it's not good. Some people wouldn't pay that much money for wine if it wasn't that good, you know what I'm saying? But worth watching. I paid a little less than $10 for this, and it was just basically $2 a movie. I felt like I got my money's worth, even making up for what Part 3 was, and Part 3 was a colossal sham. I'm not even going to go into it. I'll let you guys look that up and decide. I mean, time travel and a very crappy story. But yeah, love these movies. I've always loved the series, always been a big fan. I used to collect them when I was a kid. Raphael is still my favorite turtle. And let me know down in the links who your favorite is. And hit your boy up, man. As always, I'm the Comic Outlaw. And you know how it is. I'll catch you on the flip side. Yeah.